NBC News has learned that President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, is cooperating not only with Special Counsel Mueller's Russia probe, but with several ongoing investigations in New York related to the Trump Foundation. This comes after Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress about his role in pursuing a business deal in Russia for his former boss. A Kremlin spokesman now confirming that Cohen reached out about the possibility of building a Trump Tower in Moscow. It happened in January 2016. The Special Counsel's office is also considering bringing more criminal charges against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, because that's after investigators say Manafort lied to them multiple times, violating his plea deal. Joining me now is Katie Phang, MSNBC legal analyst and an attorney, and former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst Glenn Kirschner. So with a welcome to you both. Katie, talk about these latest developments, what they tell us about Robert Mueller, what he knows, and where this investigation is heading.
So everybody was wondering when and if the connection between Michael Cohen and Robert Mueller was going to happen. As we know, months ago, Michael Cohen pled guilty to an information in the Southern District of New York in a spin-off investigation that came off from the Robert Mueller investigation, but we never saw that direct connection until now. And what's a huge bombshell it has resulted in. We now know that Michael Cohen has met at least 7 times with Robert Mueller and his team and has provided voluntary cooperation, clearly in an interest to be able to mitigate his potential prison exposure, because as we know, he's pled guilty to at least 8 counts in the Southern District of New York. But beyond that, what we've learned is collusion is back on the table, Alex. We heard a lot about collusion maybe wrapping up, and maybe it has for Robert Mueller and his team. But the reality is, with Michael Cohen and his testimony that he's provided to Robert Mueller, in addition to his sentencing memorandum that he submitted late last night through his lawyers, we know that Donald Trump, campaign members, as well as people in the White House have been intimately involved in terms of Michael Cohen's testimony to Congress and his dealings with Moscow. And not just private people, Alex. We're talking about Russian government officials before and during and after the presidential campaign. And so that direct link that we've been looking for, if I'm Robert Mueller, may have been discovered through Michael Cohen.
So Glenn, this also extends in terms of this Russia deal to, look, both Ivanka and Donald Jr. have been named as being aware of things. And Donald Trump Jr.'s attorney is saying there are no contradictions between what Michael Cohen is saying and Trump Jr.'s Senate testimony. Is there legal jeopardy in your mind? Could there be for Don Jr. and potentially Ivanka?
You know, there could be, Alex. I don't think the charge that he pled guilty to recently in and of itself is all that consequential, but I agree with Katie that what Mueller is doing is he is building the bridge between the campaign and Russia, and he has now used Michael Cohen as part of his construction of that bridge. And when it comes to the kids, Ivanka and Don Jr., I think there are a couple of real danger areas, because we heard that Michael Cohen lied to Congress about, among other things, keeping the kids, keeping Donald Trump's kids informed about what was going on this potential deal with Russia. And, you know, that is really dangerous, because what did we come to learn some months ago? Michael Cohen is not above surreptitiously tape recording conversations. And when I heard that his plea included information about keeping Donald Trump's kids up to speed, I have to say, we've heard this before, but I was thinking to myself, Lordy, I hope there are tapes, because we don't know what Michael Cohen has been taping, but we may hear more about that in the future.
But tapes aside, Katie, the fact that Michael Cohen has been proven to lie, right? I mean, he's admitted to doing that. How much does that taint any kind of testimony that he has? And if you're an attorney and you're trying to get information out of him, how much do you believe what he is saying? And do you have to look for the motivation and say, well, at that time he was trying to do one thing and now he's trying to do something else? Does that challenge the way you'll interpret anything he says?
So as Glenn is also aware through his career, you know, having a flip or having a cooperating defendant is nothing new, and you kind of have to take everything they say with a grain of salt. But what I suspect with Robert Mueller, in terms of the impeccable way that his reputation is and the way that this case has been going and the way that the indictments and the informations have been rolling out, Robert Mueller is going to take the information from somebody like Michael Cohen and he's going to seek independent corroboration. He's not just going to rely upon Michael Cohen's word for it. He's going to find an email, a text, perhaps an audio tape that's going to corroborate the information that Michael Cohen has provided, because if not, you're taking a huge gamble to try to roll the dice and see if somebody can believe it just on the word of a flipping or cooperating defendant. But what's key in this case is the fact that, yeah, listen, Michael Cohen may have admitted to having lied before, but he is now saying, I am telling the truth. We will see whether or not that is the case, but we also know that Paul Manafort hasn't been telling the truth. Somebody who also said he wanted to cooperate is now having his head on the chopping block with an imminent sentencing coming up in March of next year for the lies that he's been doing with the Robert Mueller team. So Robert Mueller is no fool. He is taking information from people and he's referencing it, checking it, and making sure that it's accurate before he's relying upon it.
Okay, little bit imbalanced this particular interview. I promise to make it up to you, my friend Glenn Kirschner, but good to see you as well, Katie Phang. Thank you, guys. Before we go, a quick programming note. Tonight from 6 to 8 p.m.